Hello, welcome to Access. I'm Rob and I'm here with Nath.
Hello.
And this is Infamous Second Son week on Access because it's out on Friday.
Yes,
and we are going to be talking today about 5 things that we're really excited about in the game. The first of which, quite obvious really, is the fact that you can blow stuff up with amazing superpowers.
Yeah, the superpowers are key, but not in the way you'd expect, Rob. I think there's a couple of things that we wanted to get across. The ones they've announced so far, smoke and neon. Most people think it's fire, but it's not, it's smoke. And just to make the point that as a man who's played a lot of the first Infamous especially and the second Infamous, but the powers don't necessarily... The thing that's exciting about them isn't just that you get more and more powerful ways to blow people up, although that is exciting, is that the way that the powers...
This is exciting, blowing up a camera and now blowing up
I would never take that away from you. That is exciting. But what's more exciting is the way that they're quite functional in that they expand. Like, the action in the game's fine, but the really exciting thing is that it's in an open world, and the powers as they expand lead you to enjoy that open world more and more.
Like this, kind of
they
like
expand
just
your
bounding across this half-a-mile gap.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think that they've been very clever and they've chosen smoke. The particle effects for the smoke are brilliant, and
as you can see here,
and the lighting on the neon is also brilliant. Almost as if they chose powers to accentuate the strengths of PlayStation 4 on. What kind of a maniac would do that?
Oh wow, look at that neon. Kind of the way he sucks it out of the sign. And this is great as well, how he traverses with it and the kind of weird kind of afterburn blur that is left in his wake as he runs through air.
It's a very, very pretty game is what I'm saying. Although I maybe do miss electricity very slightly as a power.
Really? Well, there's some more powers we don't even know about yet. So
that's
maybe
true.
That'll be brilliant. And we touched upon it a little bit there.
Space Needle.
Space Needle, is that what it's actually called? The Space Needle?
I do hope so, no, I've said it, yeah.
Well, that's obviously in Seattle, which is the setting for Second Son.
And number 2, the point is the open world.
The point is the open world and the way you use your powers to traverse it. Because I was playing a little bit and it kind of reminded me a bit of the boundy elasticity of sort of like a Spider-Man, how he's able to just kind of fling himself around with smoke and with neon. And I imagine when you play it for an extended period of time and get really, really good at it, you're just running around the place, flying and jumping around the place.
Well, that's certainly what happened in the other. If anyone has not played the other Infamous games, there's like a real cartoonishness to Delsin, that it was old Cole, his movements, and he does feel almost a bit too floaty. But once you live with the powers for a little while, the way that you move around the world, it just becomes so kind of fluid and I think that the way that they've used the neon for running and the smoke for getting through fences and up vents, and the gliding as well, which is very similar to the electro glide from the first game.
We just saw a train there. Could you? I guess you can jump on that train.
I'm sure you'll be interacting with the train in certain ways.
I'm going to blow it up.
And like there were power cables and rails that you used to be able to get around the other world in, and that just felt incredible. Like the sense of kind of kineticism and movement from it. So yeah, when we talk about the open world and the way that it interacts with the powers, like the key strength, not just the kind of climbing, but the way that the powers allow you to kind of move around the world, and it just feels smooth. It's a bit like Batman Arkham City, like I would say, that level of goodness.
You just said goodness, Nath.
Sorry.
There's evilness as well.
I thought you were just saying it was a terrible nondescriptive word, but you're right.
Yeah, I kind of used your terrible nondescriptive word and linked it to our next point, which is that you can choose to play as either a good character or an evil character, which we're seeing here. Now, these are a bunch of kind of lethal takedowns, as you can see. He is killing civilians, which is very naughty, and is also what I'm going to be doing all the time.
It's weird, isn't it? Because Nate Fox, we had the interview up with him on the channel yesterday, which you can go and see now. He's the game director, and he was talking to you, wasn't he, about how the actions, good or evil decisions that people have made at the end of the second game have kind of affected how he'd been surprised, and that affected the canon story of the series, right?
He analysed the trophy data to see that, you know, at the end of Infamous, at the end of Infamous 2, sorry, you get to make a choice, either a good choice or an evil choice, and overwhelmingly people chose the good choice, and that affected how the story panned out in Second Son, which is really
I'm not entirely surprised, because I think the biggest thing is I don't know how moment to moment it's going to work. It used to affect the world and the way that the world got grimmer and people used to be scared of you. But the thing really about it was not just you wouldn't notice it in 5 minutes play, but doing a dark playthrough, it's really tiring being that evil all the time. It's quite depressing, just being relentlessly horrible to civilians. Anyway,
I don't mind it.
Here's something to cheer us up. The beautiful face
of Troy Baker.
Who is your point number 4? Point
number 4 and kind of 5 as well. Point 4 being Troy Baker and how brilliant an actor he is. And point 5 being the technology that is allowing Troy Baker to pull off possibly one of his most exciting performances in a video game to date, because his entire face is in the game and they've really been able to capture kind of...
Not half of his face, his entire face.
His entire, yeah.
Have you ever seen him, we've met him on a bunch of occasions, have you ever seen him less than luxuriously dressed?
No.
He's wow.
He smelt amazing as well. He smelt brilliant.
But I guess like being really honest, I think I've spoken to Sucker Punch quite a lot about this when they were doing Infamous 2, and they were always quite candid about the fact that the hardest thing for them, going from the Sly Cooper series, which is like a series which is based on the same kind of, traversal and kind of jumping and platforming and cartoonish movement, they're very, very good at that in the action. But getting a story and a high level of kind of dramatic performance into their games was something which they knew was hard. So this is the way, these two things that you've pulled out here are the two ways that they're obviously trying to counter that.
Well, it certainly looks like they've upped their game for this one then, in hiring Troy Baker, who is one of the best actors around in video games at the moment. And the actor who plays his brother, who you can see him talking to on screen now, he's actually very good friends with Troy Baker in real life, so that's given them a real kind of chemistry together.
A rapport.
On screen. A rapport, that's a good word.
Thank you.
Better than goodness.
And as well as his face, is that his real hat? Is that Troy Baker's hat? We have that hat in the office.
We've got that hat in
Has
the
he
office.
touched it?
Oh, just look at the facial animation there. You can.
I'm looking at the hat.
There's no script. There's
Hat
no
capture.
dialogue there.
That's
you
what
can
they've
just
done.
see.
Incredible real-time digital hat capture. That's
Very
that's
good.
what this
I like
game
the
is.
creases in the shadow. It just looks so woolly.
Yeah.
So tangibly woolly. Anyway, that is Infamous Second Son.
So it is.
It's looking amazing, and
We're
it's
gonna
out
have
this Friday.
loads more of it all week. Stay on this channel all week for loads and loads of
Yeah,
Infamous
we've got
Second
interviews
Son.
with Nate Fox, with Troy Baker, plus loads of awesome new
From
Infamous
Thursday and
gameplay.
Friday, we're going to have new gameplay.
Yeah, so make sure you stay tuned for that, and don't forget to subscribe.